This type of Yerushalmi in article Oz edition one that's Samach Amud Aleph, right at the top at the beginning of the Mishnah Halacha Zayin, which in the Vilna is on Nun Aleph Amud Aleph. Also Halacha Zayin. Okay, so Mishnah says HaPesach Shenitzar Domo Pesach who through the blood of Mizbeach, prior to Shutame, and then you became aware that it was Tame. The main word says the Pesach or the Dam, the Tzitz Maratza. The Tzitz makes it acceptable, and you don't make a Pesach Sheni, even though you can't eat it, but no Pesach Sheni. Nitma, if the owner became Tameh, the Tumas Aguf, the Ena Tzitz Maratza, the Tzitz is not Maratza on that. He has to make a Pesach Sheni. They said Nazir v'osa Pesach. They said when somebody is a Nazir or may call him Pesach, no, it's a Nazir who's bringing his actually in the middle of his Nazirus. As Karma says, "Chsibe chemus meisalav v'yemim sheibnu im nitma b'meis kamavos kamnosav." He became tummy before his command bring. Brought tzitz. No, it's not really the middle; it's the end. That's but it's before. So bad means karbanos. The nazir was the pesach. Bad means the karbanos. Tzitz matzah tumas adam. The tzitz matzah on the tumah of the blood of the korban. Then tzitz matzah tumas aguf. The tzitz matzah tumas aguf of the person for whom the korban is being brought. Nigma tumas at home, but there is an exception. If there's a tumas at home, which is the tumah which we spoke about a bit ago, which is that something which is beyond anybody's knowledge, very deep, so nobody knew about it. It only became clear afterwards, after the fact. So then, hatzitz maratza, the tzitz is maratza and tumas hatohim. Okay, says Gemara. Masnisa, the Mishnah says that the Pesach is nizrak damo. It came as tummy yotze. Keli. If the blood became tummy after the ray was in the airspace of the keli in which you were collecting it. But fasting, it became tummy while it's still above the airspace of the keli. Nasa kemakabo mine. Amazing concept. It's as if in the keli it was water because it was tummy before it went to the keli. Okay, then what goes on to the next issue? Now look at Safek Kever HaTohim. How do you know this concept of the Safek Kever HaTohim? As we mentioned, Safek Kever HaTohim, the Safek does mean a Safek Kever HaTohim, but the whole concept of Kever HaTohim is a Safek that you don't know about this Tumah, which may or may not exist there. So, Rabbi Yaakov Rabbanah said, "Oh, b'derech lachem." It's a if you're if you're tamei, it says, or b'derech lachem. So then you're part from Pesach Rishon. You have to make Pesach Sheni. So he says that's possible. Ma lachem begolui, just like lachem is golui. In other words, the derech of lachem is begolui, and we apply this also to tamei, right? So to I've called it begolui. In other words, the tuma, which is the beginning of the pasuk, also is begolui. In other words, it's something which people are aware of because it's something which is in the open. And therefore, that, so it's just like the chokah begoli, you push on the base chain, so too, tuma begoli, you put on the base chain, but not tuma which is concealed. Let's get a ain't a begoli. Actually, must say Pesach, so this is a pasuk. By Pesach, how do you know by Nazir Minai? I know by Nazir as well. Yocham B'Shem Rav, or B'Shem Rebbe said, B'chiamus Meis Olav. Says by Nazir, if a dead person dies on him, Ma Olav Shugoli on him, to indicate that he's aware of it, right? It's revealed. I've called it Shugoli, so that everything which is revealed. Yotz Kevatom which ain't a Goli. Supposed to Kevatom, which is not Goli, so therefore it's not included in the things which undermine the korban. tzibur shenitma la shima b'sapik maush yitzar la b'tzitz. When you have a tzibur, so that became Talmud Tumas time, does the tzitz work for them as well? So he says, it's kavachomer. Ma'im a yachid, ever an individual who rata kocha b'tuma yedua, who doesn't his capacity to do the Korban Pesach is taken away. It's made bad. It goes bad when he has a known tumah. He has to be to push off the Pesach Sheni. You gave him, you empowered him. But it's only a kever home. He's yotzei Pesach Rishon. Tzibur sheyafasa kocha b'tuma yedua. A tzibur which has a more power when it is a tumah. In other words, tumah hutra b'tzibur can even make Pesach Rishon. And didn't she if Yafisa kocho is not a kavachomer, you made it more beneficial for it. The Sabbath kever home, and therefore they yotzi with their Korban Pesach Rishon bring a Korban Pesach. So Gemara rejects this kavachomer because it comes out ultimately it's going to be a chomer, and it says kash and meko b'yachid and mechar b'tzibur, which comes out of kula by yachid will come out of chomer by a tzibur. And kash and meko b'yachid mechar b'tzibur. How so? Kash and meko b'yachid, the kula which is named by yachid. She's Vadel Lifnei Zika becomes wherever kever tohoim before his Zvikas Adam. Yas Kamisha Nit Malachas Zvika. Then his status like somebody who came to me after Zvika, and which means just like a person who came to me after Zvika can't eat a Korban Pesach, but it was Yotzei, it's not Nichel Pesach Sheni. So too the person became aware of kever tohoim before his Zvikas Adam. That person became aware of regular tumah. But kever tohoim before his Zvikas Adam, he also has leniency now that he's not Nichel Pesach Sheni. He's the Yotzei with the Korban Pesach Rishon, even though can't eat it, right? So B'shushla Nichel Pesach Sheni. It's not Nichel Pesach Sheni. But Ad Machmel of Tzibur, it's going to come out of Chomer for the Tzibur if you apply that principle, because in Nisvadealo becomes aware of it. Livnei Zvika of the kever tohoim phase Zvika, when if it's a tzibur and too much of a tzibur, and they find out they're tummy for the Zvikas Adam, then they're zorit Adam and they'll eat the Korban Pesach b'tumah on Pesach Rishon. But for this, now if you're gonna apply the principle to kever tohoim to a tzibur, so it's gonna come out that Shin is vadelo, and here the Korban changes from la'achar to lifnei Zvika. If it's a lifnei Zvika, Yasakim Mishin Nitma, he's going to come out, it's going to become like somebody who finds out that he's Tameh as a Yochid. La'achar Zvika, after Zvika, Mishul Shalach Habasa won't be able to eat the meat. They're going to be there. So you can't, applying kever tohoim ultimately comes out of Chumrah to the tzibur, because they're going to come out in a scenario where they'll find out leaving the Zvika, they'll have to rely on the kever tohoim at the tzitzis meratzeh, but then they won't be able to eat the meat. So therefore, we don't apply kever tohoim to a tzibur. We go with the too much of a tzibur, which is that when they finally leave Zvika, that they were tamei, they can go and they can eat the Korban Pesach. Now the Gemara goes on to say that also by Nazir, we're not going to be able to apply it. Okay, so it's a specific application. Too much to tzitz matzah commit kever tohoim by Yochid, but doing the Pesach that he doesn't do Pesach Sheni. That's here doesn't apply by Nazir. Kasha make him a Nazir Torah, right? If you the kul which we apply by actually applies by Nazir Torah as well. I take that back. That's about the same. Okay, this but not going to apply by Nazir Torah. We'll see. Kasha make him a Nazir Torah. The kul by Nazir Torah. She svadel lifnei Zvika that he had a tumas adom. Yaskim Mishigma Achar Zvika, that it's as if he's talking about Achar Zvika, which, in other words, it was Yetz Korban. Shaloyavi Korban Tuma. So there's not to be a Korban Tuma. That's leniency. At Machmer ben Nazir Tameh, but it'll come out of Chumrah by Nazir Tameh. Now this is really fascinating. We're going to go to Korban 8 again here and change the gears, but what's coming out is really fascinating thing. So he says that It's called how's it come by korban tummy, come by nazir tummy. Now, let's do it inside, and you'll see it. So, Shim Nisvadelo Lifnei Zvika, again, change the korban. If you're going to find out before Zvika that about the Tumas Atohim, so then Yase comes out that it's here it changes it to Mishin Nisvadelo Achazvika. Not Kamoshin Milchazin, but rather Kamisha Nisvadelo Achazvika. And maybe korban tuma ko echad ve'echad. Okay, let's make more korbanos tuma. Let's see in the korban explains it very nicely. Augustine, Machmir knows your tummy she's vadel lifnei zvika. Ask him she's vadel achas zvika. V'chi perush. This means to say dinis vadel lifnei zvika. If he became aware of his tuma, became the tummy before zvikas adam. So then, Sailor korban echad. The only one needs one korban tuma, because he was never yotzei to a time when he could have been to start over again, so therefore he doesn't have to have bring a separate tuma. But he becomes aware after tuma, so he'll be korban kol tuma of tuma for the atzma. There has to be too many korban each every tuma, as we'll see momentarily in a brisa. So therefore, if you apply this heter and the way it works, I guess the way Allah should be saying tuma stone was stated, was to a nazir, it's going to come out. What's the pshat? That nisvadei lifnei zvika is kinisvadei achas zvika, because achas zvika always you're to the korban, right? Because you're not the tamei b'shas korban, and therefore you're to the korban. You're to the korban. The korban works for you, even though you can't eat it, even though the kohen can't eat from it. Doesn't matter. That's a special halacha of the kumas. In nisvadei lifnei korban, it's as if it's nisvadei achar korban. But for nazir tummy, it's going to make a problem. Because then it's going to be that he was Yotze L'Shah, he was Yotze with this korban for the Tuma, which he had before, but now he has a new Tuma, which he came aware of only afterwards. So it's going to be another korban Tameh. If we apply Tuma, the Heter Tuma to Nazir Tameh, it becomes an actual Chumrah for him. Okay, so that's what it goes on to say here. Kadad Tanya, and let me read again. She said, "Vadelo livnei zika." The askama kemishis vadelo achas zika. Maybe korban tumah kol echad echad. At a time like that, which word nitma v'chazer, but nitma came tamei. Right, he brought a korban, and they came tamei again. Maybe korban tumah kol echad echad. It's a Gemara. Okay, says Gemara. Ovid shall pay some mashra to atzitz. The ovid. I'll tell you about the people who are miskaper, right? But the Kohen was making the korban, the korban. What about his? He came tummy to Masayim. By the way, more later is actually tells us what to Masayim is. What's his definition of? We haven't gotten there yet. But that would just assume there's this concept of to Masayim. So, what's his status? Kavachomer. This is a kavachomer. Uma ima bailim shurata koichan b'zakim b'choyle. If the bailim who are Korban Pesach, they can't do Korban Pesach. They're zakim b'choyle. If you piece of koichan because Safik Efraim, you said they have this special halacha of Safik Efraim, which is matir them. Oived, it's amazing, amazing kavachomer. Oived she piece of koichan b'zakim b'choyle. That the Kohen can be a Zakin Chayil and do that Avodah. Okay, maybe he should be taking sick leave, but he still is allowed to commission retire. But if he does that Avodah, it's a valid Avodah, right? So it should be that cool should apply to Oiv as well. Says Gemara, no. Lo matter of Bailim. The Bailim is different. She fisa kochen b'shar kol tumas shabashana. That they have a yipui koach that they can send their korbanos b'tumah. Any korban they can send b'tumah. It doesn't. The tumah is not a problem by them. So therefore, tumah of them is a lighter thing. That's based on shalchin korban same. Tumah b'oivet shuratachol b'shar kol tumah shabashana. They can't be oivet b'tumah. They have a defect by tumah. They can't be going. Can't be the Oivei B'tumah the rest of the year. Only when Tumah Tzibur. But otherwise, it can't be Oivei B'tumah. But the pilot can send a coin even if it's not a too much of a tzibah, it's a case situation. It doesn't have to be the first korban. It doesn't have to eat it except for the korban Pesach. But the oivdim, they can't do there's too much of a tzibah, they can't do their avodah. So therefore, b'shar kol too much of a shana, they're horata koicha, right? However, horata koicha b'shar kol too much kol shana to a kocham they meis v'Pesach. It also has hura koicha b'tmei meis. In other words, by tumas hatohim, that they're not necessarily going to their avodah on the current basis, not necessarily going to be effective. Okay, but not necessarily. Micah what's the halacha? The Nachum Shemona says lachem. It says it says with lachem. What's the pasuk again? Derech kol lachem, right? Where it makes begoli, right? So I said for lachem must be seen. I guess it's really lived out from the pasuk. Yeah, I had said for lachem must be seen, but I wasn't thinking. So we're actually learned out from this pasuk. So the so lachem, it's not this thing. It's generic. It's a fascinating way to learn the pasuk. Lachem bein lo bichlo. Lachem includes both him for the bailim and the oivim. Okay, I could do say Pesach. Find out where it's supposed to say Pesach. So what about by Nazir? How's the word by Nazir minayin? So by Nazir, the pasuk we had was Chirmus Meis Olav, my Olav Shabagoli of Kol Dar Shabagoli. Right, that's what we had just after the Mishnah. So the Gemara says, Nazir minayin Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Chista. I mean, Savim Meimar. They talk wanted to say no, it's not the same thing by Nazir. Olav v'lo Shalom. The het of tumas time only applies to him, not to Levi, because it doesn't say lachem, which is read, it says olav, which is a mute. Mad the Tani, who Nazir and Nazir Pesach, from that which is a Bryce says the same parameters apply to Nazir and Nazir Pesach. Hadamra mad and nafil l'day. That the parameters are identical for both. Yeah, so here the article is I was thumping back and forth. The article is talking that this is the difference between the Yerushalmi and the Bavli. Yerushalmi learns it from Sukkim, and the Bavli learns from Halach Moshe Sinai. And so therefore the Bavli has a whole different discussion of this idea of whether Tumas Tom is permitted by the Kohen or not. The Rambam Paskin said is mutter for Tumas Tom is mutter for Kohen who's Oved the Avodah as well. It could be that even the Yerushalmi would agree that that aspect is Halach Moshe Sinai. That's the fact we don't use olav as a mute, and we go by lachem, which is a riboy, and we extend it to Nazir, that maybe even the Bavli, the Yerushalmi would agree that Halach Moshe Sinai. Okay, but I see the article has a discussion of it. I see because in the Offer Yerushalayim has a cute question. He says that in B'cheres it says that Memafrav Zaken Cholim Bezum are Pasal Avoida. So you see Cholim Zaken are also Pasal and Oivdim. So the question is what kind of is that so the rice of the Rabbanan? Obviously he brings it's a lot to be Mefalpo about here. And he brings up his brother. This is another cousin, right? This is Rav Ron Wagner wrote the Sefer with his brother, Rav Noam Wagner, that so Zikna Avoida, so Zikna B'Koyin Avoida is Takanat Raisa. Okay, so that's one of the it goes into this a little bit more different, and it's could be most of Chachamim and the parameters are different. But it's a cute question. Okay, I like the question. So now the Gemara gets down to brass tacks. Ezu Gever Time. What is Gever Time? Hameshnik Bar Bekesh, Mace who's buried, and you don't know he's there, obviously, on something solid. Even hay and straw offer its rose and certainly dirt and pebbles. And the Bar B'mayim, if it's buried in water, by failure or in a dark place, we just can't see it. And a crack of the crevice of stones, and it's kever totom. It doesn't make a kever totom. Close your door. It's close your door already on the next page. Let me just check the same moment here. Yes. Close your door. The general principle is, and we're going to go to Moshe's Girsa. Call ain't at yochel for so anytime you can't remove, not at yochel dosa. Anytime she'en yochel for no, so in other words, you have to remove stuff from it, debris from the top of it. in order to move it. Osa keveratom. Kol shad yochel ufano. So anytime you don't have to move debris from on top of it, right? Because it's in water, it's not considered obviously debris. Just push it aside. So then, ain't osa keveratom. So those make kevatom. So this is not satisfied with this. But it says the kasha to the time it ain't at yochel ufano. It's like really. Kasha is also easy, but why is kasha any different than water? The water doesn't respond. Okay, but I think you could answer, you know, it still requires movement. Moving something away, as opposed to water, which doesn't require moving anything away. You just bring it up through the water. Anyway, but that brings us already to topic next summer. So we'll stop here for today.